All right. Good morning, everyone. And thank you so much for joining us here. Today's shiur should be the Ilu Nishmas, our dear friend Menachem ben Yisrael Yaakov, as well as my dear aunt Rivka Bas Gavril Tzvi, and for Zaidi, Reb Shmuel ben Yosef Dova Kohen, and B'schos the Refuah Shalema Bekarov, Mishalom ben Sarachel, Miriam Basara, and Yair Yeshia ben Chaya Atara. Today, we are on page 90 in the Ora Vigdor, for those who are following along, and we are in the middle of the first parak. Is it? Yes, it's the middle of the first parak over here. Thank you, Michael, for that help on that. Today we're going to be talking about the fifth and sixth conditions out of all seven that we spoke about that a person must possess in order for you to have full trust in that individual. And we're going through each one by one, and we're showing you how only Hashem really possesses 100% of any of these capabilities. And today the fifth condition was exclusive control. In Hashem we also find that this fifth condition, for he alone is conducting the affairs of man from the beginning of his existence and development. And that means all of a man's life, Hashem is the one who is in charge of him and no one else. Kamosha Kasav says in the Pasuk, Halayhu Avicha. Is he not your father, Kanecha, your creator, who Oischa, who made you, Uvancha, who established you, Va'ama, and it says, Alecha Nismachti Bimbeten, I relied on you from my mother's stomach, Mimei Mimi Atagoizi, from my mother's innards, you brought me forth. So those psakim are showing that basically Hashem is the one who, from beginning of time, was the one that created and took care of you, and all the way to the end is the one that actually is going to be there for you alongside forever. And that's the point he's making over here. Rav Av says that a person should really, if you think deep about it, and you think about from your creation all throughout time, and you realize that every step of the way, how we're created from a tiny droplet of nothing, and we're formed into the human beings that we are, and how that comes to be, and we realize that it's really everything is in Hashem's control. That is the fifth one. And the sixth one is the exclusive responsibility. That Hashem only is the one that has responsibility over you. His benefit, his harm, or no other man's power. No one has the power to help you or harm you, make it better for you, your life, make your life worse. It doesn't matter. Because all these things are only in the hands of Hashem. This means that whenever wicked people harm righteous people, right? When you see sometimes things like that do happen, that's because Hashem decreed it for that to happen. And whenever people live happy and peacefully, that's because Hashem wanted that. And it's Hashem's decree that all these things happen. Accidents are not accidents. They are precisely timed out things that occur because that's what Hashem wants. But they are staged as an accident. That's what it is. But this doesn't mean, and we're going to warn over and over and over, it doesn't mean that you can sit back, be lax, and say, Hashem's got this. Whatever happens, happens. No. Hishtadlus is one of the most important things of Shaar HaBitachon, of Yiddishkeit, the Torah. Hashem commands us to do our Hishtadlus. It's not only just guard yourself, don't jump in front of a bus. It means everything in your life you have to be careful. If you're not well, go seek medical attention, right? If you need money, go to work. Do your part. Do what you feel you could do. That's your part. But the outcomes of every single thing, whether it's a physical endeavor, a monetary, it doesn't matter. All those things are Hashem. They're only Hashem that's the one that carries those out. Kamoshanema brings some psakim. Who decreed anything that came into being that Hashem didn't command? No one said, this should happen, and it happened. No, if it only happened if Hashem wanted that to happen. Does not all the harm and all the benefit come forth from the mouth of the Most High, from Hashem? And it says further in the pasuk, just as grass dried up and blossoms fade, so do promises of people. People's promises, they turn out at the end of the day, maybe they're good, maybe they're not, but they can't stand forever. Grass is not going to stay forever. At some point it dries out, it gets cut down, it dies out. And people are the same way. And so when we put our trust in people, at the end of the day, yes, it might be a short-term plan that you might be able to help you for something, But at the end of the day, forever and ever, the responsibility belongs to Hashem, and He's the one that will carry that out in exactly the manner that's good for you, because that's what it's meant to be. In this week's Parsha, we have something really interesting. Vaskana, thank you. We talk about, it's a little bit off on a tangent over here, but it talks about the Yidden, where Moshe Rabbeinu tells the Yidden that if you don't listen to the Torah, if you don't keep the mitzvahs, if you don't refrain from doing averos, the pasuk says, God will scatter you among the nations, and you will be left small in number among the nations. I want you to understand something. Small in number among the nations is something actually really interesting. You think it's just telling them, oh, you're going to become nothing. No, it's actually not. You're going to stay there, but you're going to stay small amongst them. What happens is nations over time, over the decades, over history, when nations dwindled down, they became small, they either disappeared or they just got swallowed into the occupying country or whatever it was. That's what happened. But here the pasuk doesn't say that. Moshe Rabbeinu tells the Yidden that you're going to stay small amongst the nations. You're never going to cease to exist. But you will be there. And you're going to be fighting for yourself. And that's what history has shown us. History has shown us that the Yidden, we literally had to fight every step of the way. And we're still fighting today. And the things that come up today's days are the same exact things that happened 70 years ago, 150 years ago, 1,000 years ago. It's more modern times. So in 200 years from now, if Mashiach said, hey, we'll look back in history, like, wow, you remember that? That was crazy times. But we have been through everything, and we kept pushing and pushing and fighting and fighting. And the point that he makes over here, he says there was a lot of different writers have written over time about the Yidden. He says there was a famous actually writer. His name is Leo Tolstoy. He grew up unaffiliated with anything. He wasn't Jewish, but then later on became a Christian. But he became very fond of the Yidden, and he found a lot of favor in them. And he spoke about them. He says, "Let us see what kind of peculiar creature the Jew is, which all the rulers and all the nations have together and separately abused, molested, oppressed, persecuted, trampled, butchered, burned, and hanged. And in spite of all this, yet is still alive. Such a nation," he says, "cannot be destroyed. The Jew is everlasting as is eternity itself." For 3,500 years ago, Moshe Rabbeinu tells the Yidden all these different things. And one of the things he leaves off and he tells the Yidden, he says that at the end of the day, you're going to search for God. You're going to search for Hashem. What does that mean? Every Jew in the world, whether they understand or they don't understand, they have that identity. They have that proud identity. They always seek to do something better. It might not be what we call Torah dig or mitzvahs or whatever it is, but a Jewish person, because of the persecution in our lives and because who we are a nation that is unwilling to give up. We're always looking to be better for ourselves, whether it's personally, spiritually, we're always fighting. That's what we do. And that's what we all have to do on a personal level. Every single day of our life is a challenge. And today's days, it's not any better. It's a whole lot harder than it was 5 years ago, 20 years ago, 100 years ago. And everyone has a battle. Everyone has a war inside their hearts that they're fighting in their life. And remember, we as Yid, we've gone through every single difficulty in the world, and we've yet to be swallowed up, and you won't be swallowed up. Because we're fighters. Because that's who we are as people. That's what our DNA is made out of. We're warriors, and we fight every single day. Don't give up. Whatever your fight is in life, don't give it up. Because that's who you are. You are Hashem's child. You will never ever be assimilated. You will never become swallowed up by another nation. We might be few in numbers. I think statistically we're like 1% of the world, if that. But we're still there. We've never gone anywhere. There are hundreds of nations that came and went, and where are they today? Nothing. But we, out of every single country out there, and many of them hated us, killed us, murdered us, did everything they want to try to wipe us off the face of this earth, and we're still here. All these years later, we're still fighting. Every single one of us contributes to that fight. And that's my bracha to all of you, that this week and the weeks coming and the years coming, that you continue that fight for yourself, for your family, for Klal Yisrael. You continue that fight and make sure that we don't disappear, because we can't. So you know you have that backing, right? You don't have to have this, oh, are we going to be here? We're not going anywhere. We're always going to be here. You just continue that fight. Thank you, everyone, for joining us all here today, and I love you all.